Oh, for you it is Thursday the 23rd. For me it is Wednesday the 22nd. Another day in our lovely decaying democracy. Well, there's talks of ICE now heading into the Bay Area, and we're going to hear Gavin Newsom talk about it, and I'm going to react to it. We're going to try and keep it really short.
Seeing reports that President Trump is deploying more than 100 federal agents to Alameda County starting tomorrow, what's your reaction to that move, and any idea where they'll go from there?
Well, it's absolutely predictable. It's a script that's been written for centuries. It's the authoritarian playbook. You announce your intention to send the military to streets, doing domestic policing operations. You wildly overstate or completely make up crime statistics that are not real, that do not justify such action. And for this administration, you send first masked men to the cities that you want to militarize. You send your spokesperson, this bloviator by the name of Bovino, I think is his name, or the bagman, Homan, out there. You do a bunch of social media videos. You bring.
Yeah, he's already doing that. He started with a couple of cities, and he's gonna, obviously the wet dream is California. Throw him in jail, deport who you can. Honestly, eliminate who you can. That will be one of the steps. That's the end goal, really. But we all know it's not going to stop there.
Your entire press corps there to highlight your patriotism as you're out there taking strawberry salesmen off the street. You find a few people that deserve to be taken off the street, unquestionably. You highlight those, but there's hundreds that are collateral damage. Communities are torn asunder.
We all know selling strawberries is that's a step. That's a step into what? Only God knows, but that's a step. It's never been about getting the criminals. It's never been about that. It's always been about targeting brown people. It's always been about targeting Mexicans. This country's always had a disdain for Mexico. I mean, we did literally take their land years ago. I mean, the Texas government at the time did come down and take my ancestors and force them up here into Indian territory. So there's already been a natural hatred for a long time.
Creates anxiety and stress, and that manifests into expressions of free speech, and then you use those expressions and those images as the justification to send the guard and suppress free speech, suppress free expression. And you do that not only June, July, August, September, but you dial it up around election time. You dial it up around November, you do it a few weeks before.
You think this is bad? Just wait until the midterms.
Vote. And you continue the path of rigging what we know. It's the intention of this administration to rig next year's midterms and perhaps to wreck this country as this president is trying.
Not perhaps. That is the goal. I don't know what you mean perhaps. That is the goal.
Tried to do on multiple occasions, and I don't need to give you any more evidence of that than what he tried to do on January 6th, where he tried to light a match to democracy. He tried to wreck this country, tried to dial in and find 11, 12,000 votes in Georgia, and of course what he's doing and just did in North Carolina, trying to do in Indiana, what he did with 5 votes in Texas. It's code red for our democracy, and this is as predictable as daylight and darkness, but the darkness of this administration has no peers, and it is a disgrace, but it is hardly surprising. It cannot be allowed to be normalized.
I wonder what it's going to say in the history books, if we even manage to get past this. Wonder what it's going to say in the history books. And I wonder how the newer generations are going to feel about this. Because, I mean, really, when has there ever been a time, besides, I guess riots or whatever, but even then, those riot police are usually identifiable. But, masked men in the fucking streets that you cannot identify whatsoever. When has that ever happened here? Besides the Klan going on a march. And, I mean, there was some incidents during the George Floyd protest in multiple states and cities where cops were covering up their badge numbers. Like, there's only one reason to do that. So, like, with ICE, the fact that they are masked up, the fact that they don't wear body cams, just shows that their plan already is to do illegal actions. But we're going now to the leopards as they eat on faces. U.S. ranchers raise concerns about Trump's plan to import beef from Argentina. What did you think was going to happen? I'm not saying I predicted the Argentina thing, but I also didn't predict. I knew that Trump was going to fuck every single one of these ranchers. He's going to find a way to screw them over. He doesn't care about the farmers. He doesn't care about these small town conservative people. He doesn't care about these quote unquote salt of the earth small town folk. He doesn't care about you. He's never cared about you. And actually, before we go on to this video, I want to read this off. This was from Donald Trump on his little pretend Twitter. And this is when I guess he got the tweet. No? Yep. He got in a tweet from Merriweather Farms, posted on X, calling Trump's Argentina plan an absolute betrayal to an American cattle rancher and saying Americans always come last. Okay, whatever. This is his response. The cattle ranchers who I love don't understand that the only reason they are doing so well for the first time in decades is because I put tariffs on cattle coming into the United States, including a 50% tariff on Brazil. If it weren't for me, they would be doing just as they've done for the past 20 years. Terrible. It would have been nice if they would understand that, but they also have to get their prices down because the consumer is a very big factor in my thinking also. I don't think you do any thinking, and I don't say that respectfully. But the Merriweather Farms basically reached out to him through Twitter and explained, this is hurting us, this is going to hurt us, why would you do this? And he just comes back with this drunk father response of, I love you, but you hurt me so much because you don't see how much I do for you. You sit on the couch drunk eating Cheetos. What do? You do nothing. And then you go to your drug dealer's house and get a couple of sacks and you come back and yell at us. Like, that's what this situation is here. This is literally the deadbeat dad who's still there, but only there on the couch. Only leaving the house to go get some drugs, to go get some whatever. That's this. And of course, they kissed his ass. They were on their feet begging and groveling at his feet. His weird, swollen, cankly feet. They were kissing it. And he's like, yeah, no, I love you, but you understand. Like, no, we do understand. But I guess they don't. No, they don't. I do. He was never here for the farmers. And again, when he did this stuff in his last term, the tariffs, he put the farmers through all of this. And they still voted for him. They knew what they were doing. They chose to vote for this. Don't feel bad for farmers. Don't feel bad for them. Feel bad for the ones who didn't vote for Trump. Feel bad for the ones who were putting the word out. Feel bad for the ones who knew this is a scam, this is going to hurt us. Feel bad for them. But don't feel bad for every farmer. Keep in mind, if you got a 7th generation farmer, that's 6 generations handing you something down. All right? That's 6 generations of hand-me-downs, handouts, and someone else giving you a boost and a start. Giving you something to operate off of. All right? So a lot of these farmers knew what they were doing. They knew what was happening. They knew where they were getting scammed. It's not. Don't feel bad for the conservative farmer. So now we're going to hear this U.S. rancher talk about the concerns. Okay.
And welcome back to ABC News Live Reports. Many American cattle ranchers outraged right now and raising some concerns about a plan by President Trump to import Argentinian beef into America to help lower the prices. The president defending his decision earlier in the Oval Office.
that we're going to do something very quickly and easily.
God, he looks so bad, dude. He looks like an overcooked hot dog just sat out and got stale.
On beef to get it down. The ranchers understand that. They're so happy for what I've done. I saved them. I don't think you'd have any beef in this country if I didn't do that. So,
then why are we having beef from Argentina come over if we've got such a surplus of beef? Make it make sense.
we're very proud of that. Yeah, Brian.
Well, meanwhile, the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, along with other farming groups, say that importing beef would only hurt American farmers, that it wouldn't change the prices all that much. Earlier on ABC News Live, we also heard from a fourth-generation Nebraska cattle farmer. He voted for President Trump, and he's putting the spotlight on the impact that this is having on his farm.
I can't wait to hear the violins.
The tariffs did help. We need to reduce imports.
Oh, they did? They did, buddy? They helped you?
We need to grow our herd. We need to grow domestic beef in this country. We have the means to do it, and
I don't think they helped you last time. They're helping you now.
I think we should not be looking for new markets to bring beef in here. Another thing we could do is mandatory country of origin labeling. The one good thing this has done is it's brought light into our industry. We, as a producer, and you as a consumer, want to know where your beef's coming from, right?
All right, so joining us now is Republican Congressman Don Bacon, represents a number of cattle ranchers in Nebraska, and he sits on the House Committee on Agriculture. Thank you for taking the time to be here with us today. We appreciate you, of course. First, I'd love for you just to react to what you're hearing there. It sounds like there's some support from tariffs, but not support for importing beef, and the idea here that this beef should be labeled so Americans know exactly what they're getting. Is that not the fact?
Well, we would like more labeling. People want to buy Nebraska beef, United States beef, but I know very few farmers and ranchers who actually support tariffs. At best, many will say, let's give the president a chance to do what he campaigned on. But for the most part, folks...
They don't support tariffs. He did tariffs the first time around. He said he was going to do them this time around. And you're saying that most of them don't support tariffs. Okay, so... Okay, let me get this straight, right? Let's say, right, I'm interested in buying weed. Okay, let's say I'm interested in buying it. And I'm interested in buying this weed. Someone else comes up to me and he says, look, I know you want your weed, but I tell you what, I can get you some pills. I can get you pills for dirt cheap. Don't even worry about it. I can get you some pills for cheap, man. I know you want the weed, but how about these pills? I'm gonna get you the pills instead. And then we can play some Xbox. And you're like, well, you know, I'm not a big fan of those pills, but I am a fan of Xbox. You know what? I'll take you up on that deal. And then when he throws all the pills out in front of you, you're like, I don't like pills. What is this? Isn't that my party routine? Like, that's the same situation. You heard the guy say he was gonna bring tariffs to the table. And he said something else that you did like. And you're like, well, I'm not a fan of those tariffs, but the other thing that he does, kind of like it. You know what? I'll run the gambit. And then he brings the tariffs, and you're like, I don't like tariffs. What is this? It's either you like tariffs or you're just stupid.
So that tariffs hurt the United States agriculture, particularly in the Midwest. We can produce beef, pork, corn, soybeans at a price that nobody else can compete with. So instead of having tariffs trying to block...
These cows get the same neck that Trump does.
You know, which hurts our exports. We want to have more barriers taken down. Because by and large, we can sell beef anywhere in the world, and it's wanted all over the world. And same thing with pork. And right now, our corn and soybeans, we can produce it at a price that nobody else can compete with, but we have no market right now because of this tariff war. So
go back there and tell that one Nebraska motherfucker. Go ahead and tell him that. And then I'm pretty sure he'll give you some Facebook stat that he found that says, actually, tariffs help here. This is... These people need to go back to not voting. Because before the Obama days, before they saw a black man become president and they got really mad, before those days, they didn't vote. These fringe idiots did not vote. And then Trump brings them out and they all vote. So I just hope to Christ they go back to not voting. Because I'm going to vote whether or not it works. Just because there have been people who have given up their life for the idea of it. The freedom of it. My ancestors didn't get the right to vote their entire life. A bunch of my ancestors did not have the right to vote. My cousins, their ancestors didn't get the right to vote. Black men and women and children were slaves. And they didn't get their right to vote. They had to fight for it. The same thing with the Mexicans in my family. So to me, voting is important. To me, voting is important because people did die for it, for the right to do it, for everybody to do it, not just on the military side, but on the civil side. All right? So I will always vote. These motherfuckers don't need to be voting. They need to go. These fringe people do not need to vote. Get them out of here because they don't understand tariffs. Even when it's explained to them by somebody who's intelligent, educated on the matter, they're still like, well, Trump, tariff. So tariff, Trump, good. Okay, cool, awesome. Go back to your failing farm, buddy.
I would disagree with the president on this. I've heard from so many people the last 48 hours in opposition to the desire to buy more beef from Argentina, but it really stems even more deep. We want more markets, not less, and that's the bottom line from Midwest America.
Well, this is important to highlight because the president is saying things like they want to incentivize American ranchers to expand their herd size. He's essentially promising American ranchers he's going to do something quickly and easily. Are these false promises in your mind?
Well, I wish you just trust the free market more. That's what Republicans and conservatives have done traditionally. The ranchers are already incentivized to increase their herd. So the real issue here is 3 and 4 years ago, we had a drought. And so they had to cut down their herd sizes. But in the last 2 years, we've had really good rain. And so these herds are on the rise again. And the ranchers are making money. So they want to expand their herds. The incentives are already there. They don't need the big government hand to do so. So again, let the free market work. Our ranchers are going to get those sizes back up, and we want to start exporting our beef and pork, corn and soybeans.
Yeah, good luck with that. It's not happening anytime soon. Not with the way things are set up. And especially with the big FU he gave you earlier. No, that's not going to happen anytime soon. Now, as some of you know who watch, and for the rest of you, I sure do love the jazz cabbage, the giggle bush, whatever you want to call it. In fact, I'm trying not to cough from it right now. So, I was going to wait to do this and wait for, I don't know, some other people to bounce this off of, but it's just more fitting if I just go ahead and do it myself. And it'll be the third story of the morning. Let's just get right to it. Supreme Court to decide whether people who use marijuana or other drugs can own guns. And I assume that's not tobacco or alcohol when they say other drugs. Again, we're going after weed. The whole thing about weed was to go after the hippies and mostly black people. All right. They changed it from cannabis to marijuana because it was Mexican sounding. So like really, this is the same old story, repackaged it. But you know what? For the first time in a long time, the comment section, pretty much all in agreement here. Do not touch this shit. And I promise you, I have my own, and I'm not giving it up. That means plants or the gun. I'm not giving them up. So, good luck. Let's go. currently high. Past drug use doesn't violate the Second Amendment. Boy, that's a beautiful plant. That's a beautiful plant. Of course, the Justice Department agrees. They want to lock up more people. They want a reason to take away the rights of other people and lock them up. That's the whole reason for it. So the Justice Department disagrees, arguing that the laws should stop unlawful drug users from having firearms. Again, marijuana, cannabis, giggle bush, jazz cabbage should not be federally illegal. We've come to this point already in our society where most of us agree that we can make that decision on our own. And if you're worried about your kids getting a hold of it, do your job as a parent and educate them and talk to them. Most people don't want to do that. They have a tablet nowadays for that. Not, whatever. Regardless of that, we're not doing it for alcohol, and there's more dumb things the alcoholics do with their guns. I can't say enough. I live in a red state. I've been out in the country. I've grown up around blue-collar people who are rednecks, have guns, and drink. They do the dumbest shit you can possibly think of with their guns. Okay, but we're not doing nothing about alcohol. You know you're not going to test that shit. And a bunch of these cops are good old boys. They drink, get drunk, and go shoot their guns too. And a lot of these cops nowadays, you can catch a lot of them being drunk on the job. Let's go back and read that real quick. This debate centers on a case involving Ali Daniel Hamani, who was caught with a gun after reportedly using marijuana. So I don't know the case. He could have said it. He could have smelled like it. He may have had some crumbs on him. How often is this pushed? I would imagine by the name, he's probably an immigrant. He's probably not a white dude. So but let's even take it away from the white dude, for instance. There are plenty of black guys that are caught with guns, smell like weed, and I'm pretty sure this question has never been brought up. Now, yes, the cops use that as an excuse to do whatever they want. Okay, I'm not saying that, black people got it easy on this side. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, okay, because this dude's an immigrant, especially a Muslim, that's, I'm profiling the name. As bad as it sounds, I'm profiling the name here. All right. Because he's possibly an immigrant or possibly a Muslim. This is why this is even being brought up. Because again, there's so many black folk that still get caught with guns and weed, and this question isn't brought up. There are even more white people that use weed, have guns, and still get caught, and this question never gets brought up. Think about why it's getting brought up. Think about the things involved here that's making this question come up. Think about it. And Trump's already said he's okay with taking guns away from trans people. He's already mentioned the couple times about just getting rid of guns, period. Trump's for it. He's not going to protect your guns. And again, that's not going to be a good enough answer. I promise you. And they need to carefully make this decision. Because again, we have the Second Amendment. And as loose as that is, it definitely needs to be regulated a bit more. It needs to be a little bit harder to get guns. All that shit. But we have it. There are people... I have a handgun. Just for protection. Would I like a hunting rifle? Sure. I don't go hunting. But I'd like one. Shotguns are cool. I'd like one. Pew-pews they're fun entertainment. when you're very careful with them. They can be very fun entertainment, and very good self-defense. And I think I, for instance, I have a gun, but I do not sit here and hope and pray someone comes into my house. And that's something we need as anybody who's a gun owner, the gun culture in this country in general needs to work on, is there is definitely a fixation with having a gun and hoping to get to use it. I hope I never get to use my gun. I hope I can pass it down to my kids and grandkids saying I never shot it besides practice. This is mine. Do what you will with it. I hope I never have to use my gun. But it's there if I have to. And there's, like, again, with the culture of a lot of people who have guns and the thought process, I've literally heard coworkers back in the day, years ago, talk about how they are proud they have their guns and they deserve to have all kinds of guns. They want all their guns. And then under the same breath, 5 minutes, because they were rambling about this shit, but within 5 minutes, they turned around and said that if someone came onto their property, they would hold them at gunpoint, restrain them, call their friend over, and then have their friend torture them all night with them. And I'm like, what are you talking about? How is that acceptable? That's not acceptable, nor especially not legal. Like, that's not morally okay. Yes, robbing someone, breaking into someone's property is definitely not morally acceptable. But again, that's like taking a fucking magnifying glass to an ant here. You torturing somebody because they broke into your property to try and rob you, that's fucking extra. That's extreme. And we're not talking about holding them at gunpoint and talking shit and giving them an option of whether a pistol whip or a cop. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about like tying them up and bamboo shooting their toenails or something like that. Like, he was talking about legit torture. Okay, well, that is legitimately the culture we have out here in these red states. So again, do you want to piss those people off? Because I'm a calm gun owner. I don't want to use my gun. I don't want to. But do you want to piss those people off? Because that guy smoked a lot of weed. And where we worked on a weed farm. So if you were trying to say that that guy can't have his gun, that's the last thing you want to do. But also, he was also saying Obama and Biden were going to take away his guns. So he'd probably somehow do this weird mental gymnastic where Obama and Biden are still in control somehow and they took his gun. It's a weird thing. Anyways, good morning.